children educational allowance and hostel subsidy. Will you get both CEA and hostel subsidy? And this will be a comprehensive video that will clear all your doubts relating to children educational allowance and hostel subsidy rules, and it will be useful for AO examination preparation and PS Group B examination preparation. First off, in this video you will be clearly knowing the following questions: what is CEA or the children educational allowance, what is hostel subsidy, who is eligible for the CEA allowance, what is the amount fixed for reimbursement of CEA, how to claim CEA, when should I submit CEA form, how much CEA can be claimed, what is the children education allowance as per 7th pay commission, what are the frequently asked questions on CEA and hostel subsidy, if a child resides in private hostel then hostel subsidy can be claimed, if the expenses made in the school is only just 5,000 or anything less than 27,000, can you claim 27,000? All these questions will be answered in this video. Stay tuned till then. First off, we will see what is CEA. CEA is Children's Educational Allowance. It is the reimbursement of children education expenses for the expenditure on the education of school going children, that is even for the step child or adopted child also, only from nursery to 12th class in respect of a government servants. That is, whenever you have children between the nursery to 12th class, for the education purpose, all central government employees or who are on deputation, or including the state government servants on deputation to central government. Yeah, and what is hostel subsidy? Hostel subsidy means reimbursement of expenses incurred by the government servant if he keeps his children in a hostel of a residential school or institution located beyond a distance of 50 kilometers from the residence. So if the distance between the residence and the school or institution, residential school or institution in which the girl or boy is studying in the hostel, that is the distance is 50 kilometers, then hostel subsidy is granted. If it is less than 50 kilometers, if the distance between the institution and the school is less than institution and the residence of the government employee is less than 50 kilometers, then hostel subsidy will not be granted, but only CEA, that is children education allowance, will be granted. Okay. Now we will see there are some similarities between CEA and hostel subsidy. There are some differences between CEA and hostel subsidy. We will see one by one. And this here you should understand that child means including the step child and adopted child also will be treated as child. Children educational allowance or hostel subsidy is only eligible if the assistance is only eligible only if the children study in a recognized school. CEA is educational expenses reimbursement. We know hostel subsidy is reimbursement of lodging and in the hostel. First off, we will see about the class. We already have seen that nursery to 12th class, and 12th class means it can be a course in the diploma or polytechnic or ITI or engineering course for initial 2 years after 10th class. Here you should understand that reimbursement will be applicable for the expenditure on education for school going children only, for the children from classes nursery to 12th class, including the class 11th and 12th held by junior colleges or schools affiliated to universities or boards or education, and 2 years diploma course in polytechnic. This you should understand. And in respect of hostel subsidy also this applies. And one more thing is that nursery means 2 classes prior to first class irrespective of the nomenclature. That means that one may say that is LKG, UKG or play school, something they will tell. But anything that is 2 years, 2 classes prior to first class will be treated as nursery, and CEA or hostel subsidy can be claimed. A hostel subsidy, if it is 50 kilometers away in a hostel, if they are residing, then it can be claimed. One more point is correspondence and distance learning, and this CEA is allowed even if it is a correspondence or a distance learning also. In hostel subsidy it won't be allowed because you are not staying in the hostel. This may not be eligible. And reimbursement and periodicity, it can be claimed once in a financial year. You should understand it is not calendar year, it is not the academic year or whatever it is once in a financial year, and after completion of the financial year only you can claim. That means as on 1/4 you can claim the previous year's financial year's uh, amount as a CEA or hostel subsidy. So this is the point. From April onwards you can claim the previous year's financial year's academic year's amount. Okay, and hostel subsidy is also once in a financial year, and after completion of financial year only you can claim. And how many children means only for the two eldest surviving children only you can claim, and there are two exceptions for it. You only two eldest surviving children, not any two children. It is two eldest surviving children only it can be claimed. But there are two exceptions. One is first instance of failure of sterilization operation after the second child. It is allowed for the third child also in such a case. And if there is a failure in the sterilization option, that first instance can be allowed after the second check. The hostel subsidy also, this applies, this exception 1 and 2 also applies for hostel subsidy. The exception 2 that applies both for CEA and hostel subsidy is the second child birth results in twins and multiple births. Say suppose in the first instance there are two girl childs, then the third child cannot be eligible. But in the first instance, in case the second instance is with multiple births or twins, if there are twins, in such a case the second one, the third one also can claim for the CE or hostel subsidy. Then recognition of school. Regarding the recognition of school, you can understand that the assistance is admissible only if the children study in a recognized school. So, and one exception for this recognition for claiming CE and hostel subsidy is that for Divyang, that is PWD, I think, recognized or not, it is allowed. Even the college or school is recognized or not, it is allowed. You should understand that the class nursery to 12th class include the class 1 to 12 plus 2 classes prior to class 1 irrespective of nomenclature. And in respect of schools and institutions at nursery, primary and middle level not affiliated to Board of Education, the reimbursement under the scheme may be allowed for the children studying in the recognized school or institution. Here you should understand that recognized school and institution in this regard means government school or any educational institution, whether in receipt of government aid or not, recognized by central or state government or union territory or administration or by university or recognized educational authority having jurisdiction over the area where the institution is situated. So this is what you have to understand. One more point is that children educational allowance or hostel subsidy for the initial 2 years of diploma certificate course from Polytechnic, ITI, Engineering College after passing 10th standard is also reimbursable. And there is one condition for this such reimbursement is that it is subject to the condition that the government servant had not been granted CE or hostel subsidy in respect of the child for the studies in the 11th and 12th standards. That means ITI, Polytechnic and Engineering is allowed study up to a period of 2 years. It is the CEA or the hostel subsidy is reimbursable, but earlier you should not have claimed for the 11th and 12th standards. In such a case only for Polytechnic and ITI and Engineering, for such studies it will be CEA and hostel subsidy will be reimbursed. So, and you should understand that CEA will be 27,000 per year and hostel subsidy will be 81,000 per year. And these are the similarities between CE and hostel subsidy. Now we will go into the differences of CE and hostel subsidy one by one so that you can learn. First of the CEA will be the amount of reimbursement under children educational allowance will be 2,250 per month, and this will be irrespective of the actual expenses incurred by the government servant. So irrespective of the expenses incurred by the government servant, even though the expenses made for the education will be less than 1,000 or even if it is less than 2,250 per month also, he can claim 2,250. That means if he is having only some 500 per month also, he can claim for 2,250. That is what it is called, irrespective of the actual expenses incurred by the government servant. And here for hostel subsidy, the boarding and lodging charges will be paid. That are the expenses towards boarding and lodging will be paid to the government employee at a rate of 6,750 per month, whichever is less. That means either boarding and lodging charges that are actually paid or 6,750 rupees per month, whichever is less will be paid. Say suppose boarding and lodging charges are only some 5,000 per month, then only 5,000 will be paid. If it is 12,000 per month, then 6,750 will be paid. So that is the point you should understand. And one more point is that distant factor is not applicable for the CEA. That means for hostel subsidy, to get hostel subsidy, the residence and institution should be at least 50 kilometers. At least 50 kilometers from the residence to institute. One more doubt you will get, whether the hostel means it should be belonging to the school or it can be a private hostel. Here clearly it is not, if it is only with the school's hostel only, the amount can be reimbursed. If it is a private hostel, even though there is no facility for hostel in the school, it will not be reimbursed until unless it is from the school or college itself. One more point is that to claim a CEA or to claim hostel subsidy, there are certain documents that you may have to present, that I will clearly detail you in the coming slide also. However, to be brief, I will give you the differences first so that you can understand. To claim CEA, there are three types of documents that you can submit. Either of these three can be submitted. That means you can submit one or two or three only. That means certificate from the head of the institute that he has studied in the educational institute for the last academic year. That certificate should be given by the head of the institute. That certificate is enough generally. And if you do not get that certificate, if you are unable to produce that certificate, you have another option. That is, you can submit the report card also. That way also you can claim the CEA. If that report card is also not available, you can submit the fees receipts also from the educational institution. So you can either submit certificate from head of the institute that he has studied in the last academic year, the child has studied in the last academic year, or you can submit the report card, or you can submit the fee receipts. Either of these three you can submit and claim the CEA. And as far as hostel subsidy is concerned, there are only two documents. One is the certificate from the head of the institute, as we have seen for CEA, the same thing, that as he has studied in the college or school for the last academic year, plus expenditure details also it should be given. That is, the lodging and boarding charges also needs to be mentioned in that certificate by the head of the institute, that this much of amount has been paid towards the expenditure for lodging and boarding. Why this is included in addition to the head of the institute certificate of just studying? Because there is a component of lodging and boarding expenses or the 6,750, whichever is less. This component is there. So in order to determine whether this amount is more than the 6,750 or less than 6,750, to settle the claim, this is compulsory. What is the expenditure should be given in the certificate, in addition to that the child has studied in the educational institute. Or sometimes you may not be able to produce this head of the institute certificate for various reasons. In such a case, there is another option that you can give a report card plus fees receipts that you can submit and claim the hostel subsidy. That means you may have to give the progress report card, and the fee receipts, including the e-receipts, also are allowed. This can be submitted and you can claim the hostel subsidy. Another point is that there are certain cases in which CEA reimbursement will not be made and hostel subsidy also will not be granted. What are those conditions? If any payment that is made to the private tutors or other than the school will not be reimbursed. That means if you send your child to a tuition in addition to what he is sent for a school, that tuition fees will not be paid, or the receipts given by the private tutors will not be entertained. Or in any other school also, any other additional you may send for music, you may send for any other coaching or e-learning for that matter, that also will not be reimbursed. It is only receipts of the schools and receipts of the colleges in which the child is studying will be valid. One more point is that regarding hostel subsidy, it is a subsidy for the expenditure made for lodging and boarding, that is to stay in the hostel. So day boarding or day boarding is not allowed. That means whenever the lodging and boarding is not allowed in a school or college, in such a case, day boarding is not day boarding fees is not reimbursed. You can claim just a CEA in such a case. Okay. And the last one is yearly. It is 2250 into 12 means per month 2250 means into 12 means 27,000 yearly. It is irrespective of the actual expenses incurred. Already we have seen that. And for hostel subsidy it will be 81,000 per year. That means 6750 into 12 it comes to 81,000. So these are the differences of CE and hostel subsidy. Earlier we have seen the similarities. Now we will go one by one. Here there is one more point is that for the class nursery to 12th without nomenclature we have seen, and Divyang also the same thing will apply. The hostel subsidy also same thing will apply. Correspondence and distance learning is also allowed for Divyang also, and hostel subsidy it will not be allowed, I think, because there won't be any hostel if you go for a correspondence or distance learning. And recognition is must for CE and hostel subsidy. For CEA for Divyang it is relaxed. For physically mentally handicapped children studying in an institute aided or approved or state, central, union territory, or whose pays are approved by any of these authorities, CEA is paid is reimbursable irrespective of whether the institution is recognized or not. In case the wife and husband are employees, only one can claim. Okay. And here the reimbursement also you can see CEA it is 2250 per month, it is fixed, and the CEA and hostel subsidy rates ceiling would be automatically raised by 25% every time the DA goes up by 50%. If the DA is 50%, the amount will be 25% raised both in CEA and hostel subsidy. For Divyang it is always double the amount of CEA, so 4,500 per month will be paid as CEA for Divyang. And normal circumstances it is CA is 27,000 per year, and for Divyang it will be double, that is 54,000 per year. Hostel subsidy, the boarding and lodging expenditure or 6,750 whichever is lower will be paid, and 81,000 per year will be the maximum ceiling that can be given. Here there is an age limit condition also. Minimum age limit, there is no age limit for CE or hostel subsidy. Minimum age limit is not there. Even 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, even if you join for play school also, it will not be a problem. Anything 2 classes will be allowed as a nursery irrespective of the nomenclature. That means prior to first class you are allowed to only 2 classes, not anything more than you. Some may say that I am taking him for LKG, UKG and a play school also. No, it is allowed only for 2 years, whichever maybe you want to claim. And the minimum age is no limit, no age limit, and maximum is 20 years or till time of passing the 12th class, whichever is earlier. This is very important. 20 years maximum age limit, or time of passing 12th class, whichever is earlier. If the 12th class, if he passes below 20 years or 19 years, then no, up to 19 years only it will come to. If for Divyang, there is additional 2 years of maximum age allowed, that is 22 years. And hostel subsidy also no age limit, and 20 years or till time of passing 12th, whichever is less. And for hostel subsidy of Divyang also it will be 22 years, and the minimum age will be nil. Distance of institution from residence will be 50 kilometers. If it is at least 50 kilometers only, then only hostel subsidy will be granted. And now we will see the different documents in detail. First one is CEA. You will have options, 3 options, 3 documents. Any of the 1 document from the following 3 can be submitted as a proof of a claim. The first document is a certificate from the head of the institute confirming that the child studied in the school in the previous academic year. That is there. And for hostel subsidy also, that is also there. Certificate from head of institute. And in addition to the certificate from head of institute, we have seen that the certificate also should mention that the amount of the expenditure incurred towards lodging and boarding in the residential complex. So the amount of expenditure also should be mentioned by the head of the institute in that certificate for hostel subsidy. That 2 points should be covered in the certificate, and that is termed that will be taken as one such single certificate. And CEA, you can if you don't get the certificate from the head of the institute, you can opt for a submission of self-attested copy of a report card. You need not go for a gazetted officer attestation, just self-attested report card is enough. That also you can submit. If suppose you don't have the report card, you do find it difficult to get a certificate from the advanced institute, you can also have the option to get to submit a self-attested fee receipts, including the e-receipts indicating that the fee deposited for the entire academic year. So that is there. Either of these three, either you can say you can submit certificate for the head of institute, or a report card, or a fee receipt. Either any of these three can be allowed. For hostel subsidy, certificate from head of institute and a certificate should include the lodging and boarding expenditure. That is allowed. If that is not possible, then the second option is there. Self-attested copy of report card plus original fee receipts, e-receipts indicating the amount of expenditure towards lodging and boarding in the residential complex. So here report card plus original fee receipts you can apply. So either of these two can apply. So CE has three options. Hostel subsidy has two options. You can opt any one of the option from among all these things. Those who are claiming CEA and those who are whose child is in hostel, then they can claim both CEA and hostel subsidy also. That means you may get 27,000 plus 81,000 maximum amount also. Okay, you can claim. And the forms are forms for claiming CE and hostel subsidy I have given in the description box, the latest one. You can download and apply. Now that it is in April, you can apply right now for the previous year. And let us see the main features and conditions of CE and hostel subsidy. There are certain conditions for which you are not eligible for the CE or hostel subsidy. First one is during the Dyson period, the CEA and hostel subsidy amount will not be granted. That means if you have 12 days of Dyson, for that 12 days in the total of 365, that 12 days proportionate amount will be reduced from the CEA and hostel subsidy that will be granted to you. Like that it will be, okay, and it will not be for the entire period. CE and hostel subsidy will be granted, but the amount of Dyson period proportionate amount will be deducted. Second one is day boarding. Day boarding, I told. Day scholar, they say na, day scholar is not allowed. Day scholar or day boarding is for them. The hostel subsidy will not be allowed. They should stay away from the residence of at least 50 kilometers, and they should also not take up journey from the resident to that place of and they are called as day boarding. That is not allowed. If they have to stay in the hostel, then only it will be allowed. That too particularly the school hostel or college hostel only. Fees paid to the private tutors or other than the schools that will not be reimbursed. So this is also not allowed. You should understand. Day boarding is not allowed. Dyson will be deducted. Private tutors and other schools will be not allowed. And one more point is that if a child passed in one school and admitted in the same class in another school, in such a case also it will not be reimbursable. That means, say suppose if the child is studying some 5th class in one school and he has joined again in 5th class in another school, even though he has passed in the earlier school 5th class, that in the second time that will not be reimbursed. Okay, in the second school where he is studying the same class will not be reimbursed. Okay, so if Raju passed in 6th class in St. Francis school and he is admitted in another Nirmala school in the same 6th class, CA is not allowed in the second time. Okay, eligible conditions. There are certain different tricky conditions where you have to remember. Earlier the 4 conditions I have told, where these are all not eligible conditions, I have told you. You have to remember these 4 things because questions may come from these aspects also. Tricky questions may come. So this you have to take remember, take a screenshot. Next one is there are some eligible conditions. which you may find at a normal glance that they may not be eligible. So such things I am mentioning here to make it easy for you. First one is hostel subsidy plus CEA can be claimed concurrently. That means simultaneously both can be claimed. That means if he is in hostel, he can claim hostel subsidy plus CEA also. If he is not in hostel, he can claim only CEA. Okay. One more point is that CEA or hostel subsidy is allowed even though the government official is under suspension or he is on leave, including the extraordinary leave UOL. Even though he is on UOL or even though he is on suspension, this CEA can be granted. One more condition is that if the child fails also, the CEA and hostel subsidy shall not be stopped. That means even the child fails also, that year the child will be granted hostel subsidy and CEA. Reimbursement of children educational allowance have no nexus with the performance of the child in that class. In other words, even if the child fails in a particular class, the reimbursement of children educational allowance shall not be stopped. So this is a glaring point you should remember. And one more point is that CEA is payable for the children of all central government employees, including the citizens of Nepal and Bhutan, who are employees of Government of India and whose children are studying in the native place. For such cases also, even though they are the citizens of Nepal and Bhutan also, the CEA of the employees of central government, they are eligible for CEA and hostel subsidy. This you should understand. So these are the four different points which you may find that they are different like that. So I have particularly mentioned these 4 points and that ineligible 4 points also. These 8 points you have to remember. You may have to remember, if a government servant dies while in service, how CEA and hostel subsidy are settled. You may have to see. The CEA and hostel subsidy shall be admissible if the spouse is not employee. In such a case also it is admissible, and it shall be payable to the children till such time the employee would have actually received the same, and the payment shall be made by the office in which the government servant was working prior to his death. That is also there. Here you should understand that many people don't know this rule, and even the government servant dies while in service, his children are eligible for CEA and hostel subsidy. Those who are with age 0 to 20 or who are studying between nursery to 12th class, they can be granted CEA or hostel subsidy as per rules on the subject, provided the spouse, that is wife or husband, is not an employee in case of the government servant. And the second condition is that it will be paid to the children till such time the employee would have actually received the same. That means if say suppose the child is studying 6th class and the employee died when the child is studying 6th class, the child can be granted CEA up to his 12th class without any nexus to his performance. Up to 12th class he can be granted even though his father died. That will be payable to the child as if he has not died. So this is very important ruling. Many do not know. You can guide if on listening to this video. And one more point is that on retirement or removal or dismissal or discharge from service, how the CEA and hostel subsidy will be granted, we will see. It is admissible till the end of the academic year in which the central government or government servant ceases to be in service. That means, say suppose in the 2022 year, in the month of February, if a central government employee died, in such a case, the CEA for this 2022 year can be paid completely to the child because till the end of the academic year. Till the end of the academic year. For say suppose the child is studying 7th class, till the 7th class amount can be reimbursable if the employee is retired or removed or dismissed or discharged from service, except death. Okay. In case of death, till the time he is eligible for up to 12th class, he will be eligible, even though he had died now itself. Next one is that there are some FAQs you should know about CEA and hostel subsidy. Can CEA be claimed for the class twice? CEA can be claimed for the class twice only when the child fails in a particular class. If the child is admitted to same class due to other reasons, CEA cannot be claimed twice for the same class. That means there will be some institutes which will not allow the child even though he has passed 6th class. Again he will be asked to stay in 6th class in their school, stating that their standard is more high. That is not correct actually, but in such a case, if the same class is studied by the children for the second time in a different school, the second time the CEA will not be given. That you should understand. If the child fails in a class, then he will be given twice. If he fails now and if he is shifted to other school, or if he is studying in the same school in the same class because of his failure, in such a case CEA is allowed twice. Okay, can CEA and hostel subsidy be claimed after the third child, for a third child, if not claimed for first and second child? No, this is not allowed because CEA is admissible for the two eldest surviving children only. Someone will ask and say that this year I have not claimed for the first child for some reasons. Can I go for the second and third child? Even though they have 3 children, only the first 2 children will be allowed to claim the CEA. Okay, that you should understand. There may be different reasons also. Some people, they think that the first child may be studying 12th class last year, so the eligibility might go away because after 12th he will not be eligible, and they will be asking that sir, we have completed 12 years for the first one. I want to claim. You said only 2 people, 2 children can claim it. So now I want to claim for the 2 children only now this year also, but not the first and second one. I want to claim it for second and third child. It is not allowed. Only it is allowed for the 2 eldest surviving children. This is some example I have told. There will be so many examples like this, but the rule is very clear. Next one is, when can CEA be claimed for a third child? Claim can be admissible for the third child if the second child childbirth resulted in multiple birth, or in cases of failure of sterilization operation. As we have seen earlier, this is the condition where the third child also gets the CEA. What are the maximum limits for CEA and hostel subsidy per year? The limits for CEA is 27,000 per year and hostel subsidy is 81,000 per year, we have seen. And it will be automatically raised by 25% every time the DA goes 50%. Whenever the DA goes by 50%, then the CEA or HS, that is hostel subsidy, will be raised by 25% of the 27,000 or 81,000 or the per month amounts. Fifth FAQ, if the child resides in private hostel, then hostel subsidy can be claimed or not? No, only for residential schools or residential institutions only. The hostels manned by the schools or colleges only will be, in such a case only the reimbursement can be given. Even though the school or college, if it is not having a hostel, sometimes they will, the central government employee or a government employee says that we have kept our child in a hostel, but there is no hostel facility. That means accommodation only they are giving. They are not giving the food there in the hostel. In such a case, can I claim the private hotel bill for this one? It is not allowed. Only the hostel bill that is granted by the school or college will be allowed for reimbursement. That means only for the residential school or college or institute is allowed. So this is all about the CEA and hostel subsidy. I hope you understood well. If how is the video, post your comment in the comment section. Please hit the subscribe button and do not forget to hit the bell icon so that you can be notified about my new videos we post on this channel. Subscribe to Career Post. For more marks and higher ranking, subscribe to Career Post. Thank you. I will make a video on MCQs also later. Thank you.